The Golden State Warriors, home to one of the greatest dynasties of all time, led by all-time great point guard Stephen Curry, defensive specialist Draymond Green, and the heavily missed Klay Thompson. As this great trio continues to age, the window to lock in a few more championships will require some smart offseason choices in the front office. With some extremely valuable assets, the Warriors will be looking to add a superstar talent going forward. The latest rumor has Golden State offloading their top 2020 pick, James Wiseman, and bringing in a multi-time champion, Kawhi Leonard. Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. For today's video, we are going to be talking about the huge rumor going around in the NBA right now about the idea of Kawhi Leonard going over to the Golden State Warriors, in which would be a trade revolved around James Wiseman this NBA offseason. Now, before we get going on that, remember, for every 100 likes this video gets, I will do one push-up at the end of the video. This video, we got about 10 push-ups to do. That's 1,000 likes from yesterday's upload. Guys, I want to do 50 push-ups tomorrow, man. I want to test myself. I want to test to see how my form is. 50 push-ups. That's going to require 5,000 likes. I know you guys can definitely get that done. But yes, let's go ahead and get going on this. So I think the most important thing to note first is that since this rumor has arisen, it has, like the owner of the Golden State Warriors, general manager, all those guys said that, we're not interested in trading James Wiseman, which I know like a lot of Warrior fans and a lot of Clipper fans are going to jump to that. But they said the same exact thing about D'Angelo Russell, and I'm just going to tell you right now, he does not play for the Golden State Warriors anymore. So, obviously, in the moment, you're going to say the right things because, not only if a trade doesn't happen, you don't want your young rookie to think that he's on the trade block anyway. So, these type of trades, especially with these younger players, they're going to sneak up on you. They're going to happen when they happen, but until then, it's going to be a lot of quietness and, really trying to save the feelings of the certain player on the team, that being James Wiseman in this case. So, okay, let's talk about Kawhi Leonard first. The Los Angeles Clippers this season, I mean, regular season, they were fine. Playoff time, though, with them making this video, they're struggling against the Dallas Mavericks. Now, you might be watching this, and maybe they miraculously came back in the series. I don't think it's going to happen at this point, but they might do that. And a lot of that has just been because of some of the poor, decision-making by the coaching staff. Some of the free agent signings and trades they've done have not made any sense whatsoever. And yeah, it's to the point where Kawhi Leonard is a free agent, and there's not really a lot of room to grow with this current team based off of some of the contracts out there. So for him, getting up there in age, he's currently 29, going on 30 years of age, man. Like, this is the final contract in which he's going to be in his absolute prime, and he definitely doesn't want to screw that up trying to win some championships and become one of the greatest players of all time. Now, in my opinion, he already is, but yes. And then you look over at, James Wiseman. On this current Golden State Warriors team, him being out there makes zero sense. Do I think he has potential to be a great player? Yes, I do. In my opinion, he is going to be kind of like a mobile, like DeAndre Ayton type of player, maybe a taller version of Bam Adebayo. I really see that with his game. On the season, man, 12 points, 6 rebounds per game, about 1 block, shooting 31% from 3 off of 1 attempt per game. There's a lot of tools and potential to work with that. It's just this Warriors offense has never really operated with that type of center. They're cool running their Kevon Looney's, their Andrew Bogut's, their JaVale McGee's, just the guys that go out there on a not very large contract, do not really demand the basketball, and they make plays that way. So from that mindset, you don't want James Wiseman to be Darko'd. And what do I mean by that is that when Darko was drafted by the Detroit Pistons, he was behind Rasheed Wallace and Ben Wallace. Like, there's just like the opportunity for him to develop was not there. And please believe, Steph Curry, who's going to be 34. You got 32-year-old Klay Thompson, who's coming back from multiple seasons of injuries. You got Draymond Green is getting up there in age. They are not going to waste their time trying to develop James Wiseman and take their time with him, at the expense of the team not being successful. And so in that way, you're going to find him out of the rotation or just simply on a very short leash. Like if he makes one turnover, like coach is going to take him out, right? So he's not going to be able to develop on this team. Now, that's great trade value, though, right? As of right now, the only trade I can really think of to get Kawhi Leonard on the team, because plain and simple, he's not going to be able to just sign a contract. It would have to be a sign and trade based off of contracts and everything and the financial salary cap and the situations all there. So to me, this Warriors team, they are pretty grateful to have so many assets right now to trade away. Typically, when you have teams that are that good, they don't have a lot of assets that they are willing to trade that are, because those guys are big parts of like the team. It's like you're not going to trade Steph Curry for for Kawhi Leonard. That's just simply not going to happen. I've heard little rumors about maybe like Klay Thompson, but I don't really see that happening either. Although once upon a time, Klay Thompson was rumored to actually sign with the Los Angeles Clippers. I guess that's like the area he's from or something, or he had a lot of interest to play for the Clippers at one point. Obviously never really happened. A lot of that could have just been talk, right, man? To me, the perfect trade to get this done would simply be James Wiseman, that Minnesota Timberwolves pick, and Andrew Wiggins. Now, Wiggins has been great this season, man. I've absolutely loved him on the Golden State Warriors, to the point where, like, if you're a Warriors fan, you're like, we don't really need Kawhi. We're kind of cool with, like, Andrew Wiggins and developing James Wiseman, having him to kind of take the reins of the team once the, Splash Brothers retire and everything. That's completely fine. Plus, that draft pick, like, it could be a really good pick, right? I think it's top 3 protected or something like that. But Andrew Wiggins this season, man, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists per game. Had his best season defensively. Like, he really looked like a lockdown perimeter type of player, and you love to see that. But, to me, that type of trade, the Warriors they already have Kawhi Leonard. They can sign some sort of basic center in free agency, and they're cool. They're good to go. They need some veteran guys off the bench. I don't really think that Timberwolves pick is really going to help them, because it's going to be the same case where they're not going to play like a really young player at the expense of the team. So yeah, and you look over at the Clippers side of things, and when it comes down to it, man, like, they don't really have a lot of, like, rebuild assets. So for them, that is an absolutely perfect start. Right now, guys that are locked up on pretty large contracts based off of, kind of what their output is. You obviously have the Paul George contract, which, in my opinion, he's an all-star superstar player. I mean, I know he doesn't always perform nicely in the playoffs, but he's still a big name, right? Like, he's still a fine player, in my opinion. Not a guy that could obviously be a number 1 option on a championship team. Number 2, maybe in the right circumstance. Not really seeing it with the Clippers at the moment, but, that still remains to be seen, I think. You got Marcus Morris, who has a pretty large contract. You got Patrick Beverley, who his contract's not the worst, but what he gives you, like, offensively and really getting just, yucked up by Luka Doncic, defensively too and everything, it's just not it. And then obviously you got, like, Luke Kennard's contract, and he's got 0 playoff minutes at the making of this video, right? So that's a lot of guys locked up. They obviously traded away a lot of picks to the OKC Thunder to get Paul George on the team. So for them, getting not only last year's 2nd pick, but also getting this year's, Timberwolves pick, and also getting, a decently young Andrew Wiggins. He's only 25. It's like, that's a really good start for a team to rebuild off of, and that will allow them over time to maybe, like, offload, like, Paul George's contract and, see what they can get for him. Now, Paul George is a pretty interesting circumstance. I'm trying to think of, like, teams that are a really good fit for him. I would probably have to say, like, the number 1 team that comes to mind, this one might come off as weird, but it's actually the Dallas Mavericks, because Paul George in the clutch, playoff P is a thing, pandemic P, whatever you want to say, not the greatest. So you put him over on a team like the Dallas Mavericks. For one, Paul George is, like, one of the best catch and shoot players in the NBA. He just really operates nicely. I mean, he can obviously create his shot for himself, but I love the idea of Luka Doncic being the primary ball handler, taking the clutch shots, being in the clutch moment, and then Paul George just kind of be able to relax out there. He's not going to really get double teamed a lot, because obviously there's also, like, Kristaps Porzingis and, Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, all those guys that can knock down shots. Yeah, Paul George would be great in that circumstance. Now, obviously, some sort of trade would need to happen to get him there, and I don't know what that trade looks like exactly. I didn't really go that far into it, but I thought the Mavericks would be a good fit. I mean, ironically, like, the Los Angeles Lakers, we all thought he was going to go there once upon a time, so that's another team that could probably find a way to get him over there. Maybe some sort of Kyle Kuzma thing, but I don't know if Kuzma got value like that quite anymore. And Portland Trail Blazers maybe trying to add on another wing player to play alongside Dame Lillard, CJ McCollum, or even CJ's trade away. I don't really know. Like I said, these are teams I think would be good fits. I don't know what the trades are exactly there to get them done, but anything can really happen when it comes down to it, right, man? So yeah, as far as, like, season predictions, like, let's say Kawhi Leonard went to the Golden State Warriors. You are looking at a starting 5 of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Draymond Green, and insert center. Ideally, it would be nice if they could get some sort of, 3-point stretching center. I don't know if that will really be the case, and never really operate with a guy like that. But when it comes down to it, like, Draymond's offense is just non-existent. He said he's going to work on it and everything, but that remains to be seen. It's really hard to change your game this late in your NBA career to that type of player. When you've never really been that type of player at all as a basketball guy, right, man? But regardless, it's like, if you can get maybe like a Dwayne Dedmon, he'd be a great fit. Or if they just decide to go their route of using Kawhi Leonard, that's also completely fine. But for me, that team right there, you have Steph Curry still as number one scoring option. I still think he'd be the scoring option over Kawhi Leonard. You got, Kawhi as that second guy. And then you have Klay Thompson, who can really ease himself into things, but also Kawhi is going to be able to pick up the slack defensively for whatever it is that Klay Thompson has lost over the past 2 seasons. I do think Klay Thompson's jump shot isn't going anywhere. His type of injury, I just don't think it's going to affect that. But the defense and the athleticism to some extent, I think is really what's going to hurt him. So being that third scoring option, and just being to be like a catch and shoot player would be absolutely perfect for him. So yeah, I would obviously have the Golden State Warriors like a top 3 team in the Western Conference, and no doubt contending for the championship, with the possibility of being the number 1 team in the whole damn NBA. Like, that's a really good team, assuming you can up the bench and everything, and Draymond doesn't completely fall off a cliff as a player. And then my predictions for the Los Angeles Clippers, that they would do this trade, obviously that's kind of signaling a rebuild, right? So I think Paul George would be somebody that you would want to unload. As far as like Luke Kennard, who was like 24, 25, I don't think they would unload him because they obviously paid him his money, and no team is going to take on that contract right now. So it would be a good opportunity for the young shooting guard to have an opportunity over there too. And yeah, they would simply go into a rebuild with what they have, which would still not be like perfectly ideal, because they are still lacking a lot of other draft picks. So I guess the best case scenario with that is that some of the young guys they already have on their team would be good, and maybe eventually, if Wiseman and Luke Kennard and all those players really up themselves, maybe you can convince a free agent or two, big name guy to come to the team down the road. That's definitely a possibility, but it would all be about developing the current players on the team, and I think that would be okay, man. Now, if you are a Clippers fan, you're probably like, hell no, man, I don't want to do that. But at the same time, too, you don't want to get in a circumstance where Kawhi Leonard just leaves the team. If you have a sign trade opportunity, that's great for you. And, especially, it's all going to depend how the rest of the playoffs go for them. If they lose in the first round, it's like, yeah, this just simply is not going to work. The chemistry is not there. Now, if they get to like the Western Conference Finals and lose like in a Game 7 to like the Lakers or a team like that, then it's a different story, because like, okay, we got really close. Let's see what we can do next season, see if we can fix some things going forward. But this is basically on the assumption that the Clippers just lose in the first round, maybe early second round, whatever it's going to be. Kawhi Leonard gets frustrated, and you're kind of forced to go into a rebuild, because you don't really want to get nothing back for Kawhi in that case, man. So yes, I do like this, just this rumor and this idea in general. I think it makes sense for both sides given the circumstances. And Kawhi playing with the Splash Brothers, damned, like that's got just as good potential as Kevin Durant when he was with the Splash Brothers, right? So that's all we got for today's video, man. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section below. Remember, 5,000 likes on this video, man. Get it done. Thank you all so much for watching. Gonna do my push-ups from last video, and peace out, my friends. 10 push-ups should breeze right through these, man. Let's get it. All right. Easy peasy, lemon bitch ass squeezy.